On this day in 1962, Bobby Lennox made his debut for Celtic. Unusually for the period, Celtic were not yet out of the title race at the beginning of March 1962 and only 6 points behind leaders Rangers. But their visitors, Dundee, were in a far stronger position, only 1 point behind Rangers and with a game in hand. Managed by Bob Shankly, brother of the legendary Bill, Dundee had a strong team, led by international centre-half Ian Muir, who would later become a stalwart for Arsenal, and Alan Gilzean, who would go on to have a hugely successful career with Tottenham Hotspur. At outside right, they had the vast experience and guile of 38-year-old Gordon Smith, formerly a member of Hibernian's famous five forward line and already a league winner with both Hibs and Hearts. At left half, they also had future Scotland manager Craig Brown, whose career would be seriously hampered and eventually prematurely ended by injury in 1967. Celtic were by no means favourites that freezing afternoon, with Dundee anxious that the match should go ahead, having stuttered over the previous few games and lost their lead at the top of the table. Ger Henderson wrote in the Evening Times of the 3rd of March 1962, "As snow came tumbling down on Parkhead, Dundee showed just how desperate they are to keep up with Rangers in the league race. Onto the hard and slippery-looking pitch came manager Bob Shankly, trainer Sammy Keane and right-back Alec Hamilton in football boots and shirt sleeves. The trio tested the going with boot and ball on a pitch which had just enough snow to turn it from dark brown to light grey. When the teams were announced over the loudspeakers, Celtic's fans were shocked to silence, for in place of the unfit Jackson was Bobby Lennox, the former Ardere recreation star, making his first appearance in the big team." As they tried to keep their own faint title hopes alive, Celtic lined up Haffey, Mackay, Kennedy, Crerand, McNeil, Price, F. Brogan, Lennox, Hughes, Divers, Carroll. On a treacherous surface, neither team was at their best, with Ger Henderson reporting, "When the opening skirmishes were over, the pattern of the game had no great attraction for the 35,000 crowd. It was fairly frilly stuff from Dundee in no man's land, and no danger of any kind to the Celtic defence. The Celts appeared to be content with the odd dash upfield, and Liney, magnificently guarded by Ure, had as much worry as Haffey, and that was nil." Bobby Lennox had a mostly uneventful debut, but was already demonstrating the devastating pace that was his hallmark, and was denied a goal by the referee. Henderson wrote that evening, "The crowd woke up from their slumber when Lennox went shooting past Ure and hammered the ball into the net. But referee Roger was not deceived. He had seen Celtic's new boy sweep the ball along with his hands, and the glory of a goal in his first match was at least postponed for Lennox." In the Glasgow Herald of the 5th of March 1962, Cyril Horne saw it differently. Almost immediately after Dundee had taken the lead on 55 minutes, John Divers had the ball in the net for Celtic, but Lennox was penalised for a foul on the Dundee goalkeeper. Horne wrote, "The referee had blown for an infringement on Liney by Lennox before Divers scored, and the official had been just as prompt in ruling that Lennox, in the first half, had gained control of the ball with a hand before he scored, though I did not detect that infringement." The decision to disallow Divers' goal sparked trouble on the terracing, Ger Henderson reporting, "The stony silence in the ground was broken when hundreds of children scrambled over the terracing wall and raced for the safety of the pitch as trouble broke out under the shadow of the new enclosure. Things looked bad, but there was no serious trouble, and after one fan had been led to the pavilion with blood streaming from a head wound, the boys were shepherded back onto the terracing and peace was restored." Celtic seemed to be running out of ideas, with Dundee well in control, until Frank Brogan equalised with a bizarre goal on 80 minutes. As the winger swung a hopeful cross into the box, Cyril Horne wrote, "There was not even a hum of hopefulness from the 39,000 crowd." But as Ian Muir moved to attack the ball, he seemed to be caught in a moment of indecision and allowed it to sail over his head. Ure's mistake caught Pat Liney on the hop, and he was frozen to the spot as the ball sailed past him and in off the far post. Suddenly Celtic smelled blood, and 4 minutes later Billy McNeill headed in what Ger Henderson described as a soft goal for the winner. Again, Cyril Horn saw it differently. If Brogan's had been a freak goal, McNeill's was a great one. The Glasgow Herald correspondent went on, as Brogan lofted the ball over, McNeill ran all of 20 yards and with remarkable judgment of timing and with a leap not one of his forwards could have achieved, got his head above the ball and, McGrory-like, forced the ball down and through the crowded goalmouth. The defeat was a blow to Dundee's title hopes, seeing them drop 3 points behind Rangers, albeit with a game still in hand. But they recovered their form in the following weeks and went on to claim their first and so far only championship by 3 points. In the process, Gordon Smith became the only player to win the Scottish League with 3 different clubs, which was a remarkable achievement for someone who never played for either Celtic or Rangers. It was overall a quiet debut for Bobby Lennox, and no one in what was a big crowd for the time of 39,000 could have suspected they'd seen the first appearance of the man who would become the second highest goal scorer in Celtic's history.